Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got some good racing tomorrow at Ascot, Lingfield, Haydock. There's even a race at Warwick that I think I might have found a selection in. And we're going to talk through some of those now. So start off looking at the races that we do actually have odds for. So we've got a couple of races that the odds have been available for a little while. So there's lots of bookmakers with prices. There's a couple of races that only Bet365 have gone up yet. But I do want to talk about those just so you're ahead of the game and you can get ready for the others pricing up. Because we don't really talk about Bet365 odds. They're a load of rubbish because as soon as you have a winner, you get blocked or restricted or anyway. So let's have a look at the 240 at Ascot, the 7 furlong handicap. Now I'm disappointed to see Fresh isn't in here. I really thought Fresh would run a big race here. Hopefully he does turn up at Ascot this year. I do like him. I do think he's very well handicapped. But who is the selection that we've ended up on? It is this one here, Pearl d'Or. Being ridden by Sylvester de Sousa tomorrow, that's always a positive. You know you're going to get a nice strong ride. Sylvester, obviously a very strong jockey. Great to see him back in the UK and great to see him. I think he will once again this season demonstrate how good he is as a jockey. So why do we like Pearl d'Or? First of all, he is a horse that likes the course. I saw somebody today that spoke about a horse liking a course based on one run. That is not liking the course. That is, you know, everything might have fallen into place that day. That's completely irrelevant. You can't start to suggest that a horse likes a course until they've had 3, maybe 4 runs over the course, and you can see obviously a good record at that course. So this one does have does like the course, and he does have a good record here. Let's have a look back through some of his runs. He finished 3rd 2 runs ago at Ascot, running a 152.3, so that's obviously a good number. He also finished, where is it, back here, a 150.1 when he won, beating Mobasha, and that's Mobasha, not Mosta Bashir. They're very similarly named. And then he's also got a second the time before that when he was second to Farasi Lane, also at Ascot. So that's 3 runs at Ascot in his last 6. 3 runs in his last 6 races, a 3rd, a 2nd, and a 1st. Now, I thought his effort at the end of the season, when he was 3rd behind Atrium, was a very good effort, beaten by Atrium and Popmaster. Now, interestingly, Popmaster, who also runs in this race, is £3 higher, whereas Pearl d'Or gets to run off the same mark of 90. Now, Popmaster didn't win the race. He was 2nd of 7 in his group, whereas Pearl d'Or actually won his group, being 1st of 10. So for Popmaster to be £3 higher without even winning, whereas Pearl d'Or kind of won his race. If Pearl d'Or had been over that in the side with Atrium and Popmaster, maybe Pearl d'Or could have gone even better. And to be honest, I think he would have done. I think he got there nicely in his group, won that well enough. Interestingly, I'm just having a quick look. Ropey Guest, who was 6th in the race, finished 2nd. So the 4 of the front 5 were all in the one group. Atrium, Popmaster, Lethal Levi, Ross Collin were all in one group. Pearl d'Or was the other one in the other group. For me, I mean, he runs off the same mark. We've got a really strong jockey on in Sylvester de Sousa. He's had his fitness run at Newmarket. I mean, there's so many positives about Pearl d'Or. As long as he ends up in the right group, he is drawn 14, so he almost can kind of choose 14 of 20. I think there's 22 that run, so he could decide where he goes. Sylvester doesn't want to be too prominent. I don't want him right at the front. I want him just covered up sort of thing in mid-division, and then I think he will run a huge race, to be honest, under Sylvester de Sousa. So that's Pearl d'Or in the first, back at Ascot, which he likes, which he does like, and he's proven that on 3 occasions, not just the once. Sylvester de Sousa on board. He's had the fitness run. He won his race last time he ran here off the same mark. He won his group. He just didn't win the race. What price can we get about him? Pearl d'Or we can currently get, let's just refresh this. I've clicked this a few times. I hope I don't get locked out in a minute. 8 to 1. And Ladbrokes are going 10s, but that's old odds. He is currently 8-1 for Pearl d'Or. We then go to Haydock for the jump race. And I'm just finding which one that is. That is this one here. And I know Lark in the Morning is a really short price. And I know he's very well fancied. Joseph's bringing him over to try and win 45 grand. It's an Irish horse. Is it foolish taking him on? I'm going to, though, both on his price, the price of the horse I like, and yeah, maybe, you know, if that juvenile form wasn't actually that strong, and what Lark in the Morning isn't that good, then maybe a horse who's been plying his trade in better handicaps could be the one to take him on with. Now, I looked at Affodil. I do think he's nicely handicapped. He has had plenty of runs recently, and I'm just wondering whether there's something a bit better value than him as well. And that horse is Teddy Blue. So why do I like Teddy Blue? Well, he runs here off a mark of 129, with Caelan Quinn taking £3 off. Now, I apologise if I am pronouncing the jockey's name wrong. I think it's Caelan Quinn. If anyone wants to correct me on that, please do, so I know for future reference. Now, he actually rode the horse last year off 132. He took 5 off that day, and he finished second at 17-2. So despite being, what is he? So he's going to run off 126. He ran off 127 last year. So essentially, £1 lower mark this year. Some bookmakers, Bet365 and Boyle Sports, actually have him double the price that he was last year. You can still get 14s about him. He finished second. I think he's got a great chance of going close again, especially as nothing has really worked this year, and so he has dropped in the handicap. And if Mr. Quinn has improved as a jockey, which I probably think he has, then maybe those extra £2 that he was claiming are kind of equated for by the jockey being a better jockey as well. So if he's effectively the same, we're getting the same out of the jockey as the claim, we could say he's running off a £3 lower mark. When he was only beaten by Black Poppy, they beat Take It Easy quite comfortably. He was a length and ahead as well coming into the last when he made a bad mistake. If he'd jumped that, I think he would have gone close to winning it, Teddy Blue. So, yeah, I'm really quite keen on Teddy Blue here, to be honest, at 14s. I think he's going to show his best foot tomorrow. I mean, last year we had a similar story with the 4-year-olds. Biker turned up for Charles Burns, went off the did he go off favourite? I'm just having a look. He went off 7-2. Was that favourite? Or no, Brentford Hope went off favourite. Biker turned up and could only finish 5th. And that was having finished second in a juvenile hurdle, the Boodles juvenile hurdle. Lark in the Morning has won the juvenile hurdle, so he might go a bit closer. But if that only puts him 3rd, we've still got 2 places that we can try and beat him. And I'm hoping that Teddy Blue, who we know runs well at this track, or has at least run well at this track once before, maybe they've saved him for this race after a few disappointing runs this season. His run at Plumpton could well have been, let's just see if we can get him dropped another couple of pound. And they did. So, yeah, Teddy Blue in the long distance, the Potemps Network Swinton Handicap Hurdle. We're then going to Ascot, where we've got one lot of odds, I think, so far. We have, which race is it? It is this one here for the Mariner Systems Fillies Handicap over a mile and just short of a mile and 2. Now, I really like a set of connections, and I think they know what they're doing with their horses. They are the Valmont owners, so the owners of the favourite Turn Up the Heat. Now, Turn Up the Heat has slowly been getting better. Disappointed on debut over 7, then stepped up to a mile, but on the all-weather finished 4th before returning at Bath over a mile in a maidens filly race. Finished 2nd, and I think we'll really appreciate the step up and trip. They were very clever last year and the year before with their horses by stepping them up, and when they run them in handicaps and they've stepped them up in trip, they can actually pick up wins over trips that were too short. I'm trying to think of the horse's name. We had it a few times last year, and it won for us. Was it not Lucky 15? Was it 15 something? I think. But anyway, that horse did the same sort of thing. They ran it over a mile and 2. I think it got beat at Epsom, then went and won over a mile and 2. I think it then went and won over a mile and 4, mile and 6. That is the type of progression I think we're going to see here with Turn Up the Heat. The extra trip tomorrow will really suit. I think she will take all the beating here as a 3-year-old. In her first run in a handicap of 79, I think she can win this, step up in trip again next time and go and win another couple of races. So yeah, I really like Turn Up the Heat. She's been priced up initially at 11-4. I hope the others go around the same sort of price. We then go to Ascot, where we've got some prices, and this is for this 6 furlong handicap. It's a class 4. Don't normally look in class 4 races, but there is one that definitely catches my eye here. And that horse is this one here, Mr. Bluebird. Mr. Bluebird for Heather Main and Ethan Jones taking the ride. Now, Ethan actually claims 7. The horse ran in this race last year, went off 4-1, finished 3rd, ran, pretty well, got beat a length by the winner, off a mark of 82, and Billy took £3 off, Billy Loughnane. So, effectively, the horse was running off 79. Well, the horse actually runs this year off 79, but the jockey then claims 7 as well. So you could kind of say that the horse could be £7 lower than when finishing 3rd in this race last year. They've got the fitness into the horse. They went to Ascot earlier on in the month on the 1st, finished 4th, over 5 rather than 6. Badly outpaced despite going forward, looked badly outpaced that day, but still ran okay for 4th place. Takes on Bucker Bay again, but I think the trip will suit. I think now that Mr. Bluebird is fit will suit. Significantly better off the weights. Bucker Bay runs off 85, so is up 3, whereas Mr. Bluebird is effectively running off 72. That would be 77. Effectively £5. So there's £8 difference between Bucker Bay and Mr. Bluebird from their last run, where there was only about a length between them. I think Mr. Bluebird will reverse that form. And yet Bucker Bay has been opened at 9s, Mr. Bluebird at 11s. If we can get 10s and 11s, I'd be very happy with that for Mr. Bluebird. Drawn in 11, so can definitely pick which way he wants to go. And I'll be really hopeful for a huge run there from Mr. Bluebird under Ethan Jones. Just hoping that Ethan keeps the horse relatively prominent, doesn't need to go forward. I'd prefer to see the jockey sit him in 4th or 5th sort of thing, rather than trying to make all the running. Does just about start to fade towards the end of the race. Was only, as I said, beaten a length last year by Coco Bear and Sergeant Tibbs when running off 82. Runs off 79, and Ethan claims that very useful 7. So he is one that I like at Ascot. We're now going to go to 2 races where we don't actually have any odds yet, but I'm going to use the forecast odds to give us an idea of what I'll be aiming for. Actually, we do. We've just got some odds come through here. I can't split 2 in this race, the Potemps Network long distance handicap hurdle, so I am going to do them both, especially at the prices that they've just been opened at. If I can get those sort of prices, I'll be very happy. The first one is fairly obvious. I've highlighted this race for him, and that is Lord Snooty. So Lord Snooty, I think, initially bumped into a very well handicapped horse at Haydock in February, beaten by Cuthbert Dibble. Cuthbert Dibble was running off 133 that day. Cuthbert Dibble is now rated 140. Lord Snooty was running off 122, is only rated 127. Now, it all kind of went wrong for Lord Snooty mid-race as well. He got badly outpaced, looked like he had lost all chance before then, getting his act together and running on really strongly. I think they put something on. They tried to get a better result next time when they went to Uttoxeter, and it all went wrong. He ended up pulling up. He dropped out the back and never picked up. That race was proven to be not his running when he bounced back at Aintree, finishing second to the very impressive Gwenny May Boy. Now, I personally think that race at Aintree, when behind Gwenny May Boy, in front of West Balboa, in front of Johnny Who, in front of Montmirail, in front of Black Bamboo, was a very good race. Gwenny May Boy is clearly just ridiculously well handicapped. West Balboa had been targeted at the race. Johnny, who had been running in better races, looked like this trip would really suit. I'm very interested in Johnny Mayboy when he drops back in trip to 2.5. And Monmiral had turned up after winning the Pertemps final. Black Bamboo's gone and run well since at Punchestown, finishing third in a series final where he wasn't actually able to run off his handicap mark. So I think the race will work out well anyway. And Lord Snooty ran a really good race to finish second on ground that probably looked at the time faster than what he wanted. Now he's going to have to run on that again, but I just wonder whether actually it's nothing to do with the ground. He just bumped into a very well handicapped horse. And if that's the case, you're looking at this race going, is there a very well handicapped horse in against him? There might be, but not from those that look obvious. I don't think Zane Knights or Harbour Lake are those. So I am going to be doing Lord Snooty. If there's a horse that could be very well handicapped over this trip, it is... Oops, where are we? Haydock. It is Zestful. The 5-year-old Zestful. So Zestful started out last season running over 2 mile, went eventually up to 3 mile, and finished second to Giovanni Change at Market Raisin. He was only a 4-year-old that day, and yet he was still able to challenge older horses. Now that takes some doing at whatever level you are. 4-year-olds just generally don't, they're not as good as older horses in a handicaps as a 4-year-old. And if you can find a 4-year-old that can run big races like that, generally they go on to do really well. A big example of that recently is Kitty's Light. Was running in feature handicaps, was running in like the Badger Beers or the Badger Ales trophy as a 4-year-old and running really eye-catching before obviously having won now a Ida Chase, a Bet365, a Midlands, not Midlands National, Scottish National, and finishing 5th in a Grand National. And that was through spotting that horse could do it as a 4-year-old. Now, having ran so well over 3 mile, it was interesting to see that they dropped the horse back on its return in October, back to 2 mile. Don't think they really needed to do that, but I just wonder whether they were looking after the horse and maybe they had this race in mind from a long way out. Got obviously well beaten in that handicap as a 4-year-old, but that was over 2 mile. You can forget that run. Then went to Cheltenham over 2.5, and I don't really think things quite went to plan. Well, they didn't go to plan. It was a very competitive race, and as a 4-year-old, still hadn't learnt how to get involved and actually run his races. They then didn't run that horse for 4 months. You know, I think they knew at home, we're not ready to really challenge yet. Let's wait. And they did wait until April of this year when they ran at Cheltenham. And he ran one of the most eye-catching races you'll see. He looked badly outpaced, looked badly in trouble before running on really strongly. If it had been over another half a furlong, he would have probably won. It's not over another half a furlong, this race. It's over another 4 furlongs. That's going to give him every chance of being able to sneak round at the back, keep in touch. And if he does pick up, like he did at Cheltenham, this horse could be that horse that Lord Snooty's going to bump into that is ridiculously well handicapped over this trip. It's all about the trip for me with Zestful. And I can understand why they were mindful with him and not over-facing him as a 4-year-old, and they didn't want to keep running him over 3 miles so early in his career. They ran over 2.5 in April. He ran okay. He ran well enough to suggest that now is the time to step him up to 3 mile and we can win a race with him. So I'm very hopeful of a big run from Zestful. And you can currently get 10 to 1 about Zestful, obviously at Bet365, so we'll wait to see the other odds on that one. So that's Lord Snooty and Zestful in the Potential Network Long Distance Handicap Hurdle. And the final one that I'm interested in, we don't currently have any odds. It's in the 705, but I do think we'll get a decent price about this one because of the way the horse runs. And that horse is going to be, let's load it up on here, it's going to be Lallygag. Now, Lallygag could just be very frustrating or clearly has massive issues. But if we actually go back to some of his novice form, do you know he went off 7-2 in a novices hurdle, in a listed novices hurdle against the likes of Lucia Western Zephyr, ITAC Blue, who's actually come out and won today. But 7-2 in a listed race. That's mental. And actually last year was running in April at Cheltenham and finishing third behind Williston and Bold Endeavour over 2.5. Now both of those went to Haydock the next time and finished first and second in the long distance hurdle, which is the first race on the card. The thing with Lallygag, doesn't always find. Sometimes drops away very, very tamely. And kind of did that last time at Cheltenham. Travelled into it nicely, ended up finishing 12th, a well-beaten 12th in the end. It just dropped away. But the trainer's representative said the gelding made a respiratory noise. Now, I was expecting the horse to come back having had a wind up. He hasn't. He doesn't come back having had a wind up. He just comes back with a tongue tie on. Now, this is interesting because with that tongue tie on, that horse has been dropped again in the handicap, another £3, plus Ben Bromley takes a 5 off. He's effectively running off an £8 lower mark than last time out, when he went off 11-1 for a harder race than this. If that tongue tie helps him finish his race and helps him breathe, I think he's got an excellent chance. It's all about that last little bit. It wouldn't surprise me if the horse travelled nicely into the race and then might just find absolutely nothing and drop away. It might be one that if you do like to have trades in the race, this might be one that you could trade short on in the run. But I'm just hoping that tongue tie, the fact that they haven't gone for the wind surgery, whereas Paul Nicholls does quite like his wind surgery operations, and he's quite happy to do that on horses. So despite them saying that, they didn't do it. So whether they're like, actually, he doesn't need that, he just needs a tongue tie. And if that tongue tie really helps, Lallygag, I think it's going to be very interesting. Particularly as I'm just looking at the expected odds or betting forecast. They've got 16s about Lallygag. I would be very happy with 16s. I'd be very happy with anything above 10s, to be honest, about Lallygag. Has the potential to be very well handicapped if that tongue tie works. So they are my selections tomorrow. Let's go through them quickly. Lord Snooty and Zestful in the 135 at Haydock. Lord Snooty, I think, ran in one of the hottest 3-mile handicap hurdles last time out at Aintree. A similar performance would see him go very close. Zestful, up to 3 mile. If that works, he could be the one in the race that is very well handicapped, now running over a trip that should suit him. In the 240 at Ascot, I like Pearl d'Or over 7 furlongs. He does like Ascot. 3 runs, 3-2-1 there. Is that Dusty Bin and the funny finger thing that you can do if you're old enough to remember that? 3-2-1 for Pearl d'Or. They've had a fitness run. Sylvester de Souza rides. I think he will go very close. And he was unlucky last year on his last run at Ascot in that he was in the wrong group. He actually won his group. 3.15 at Haydock. Teddy Blue off a £3 lower mark than last year. It might just be £1 lower mark if we take Caelan Quinn's claim literally. But that would still give him a great chance considering he finished second last year. We then have, in the Mariners Systems Fillies Handicap, the 420 at Ascot. I like Turn Up the Heat. I think that horse could win a couple of races over 1 mile and 2, 1 mile and 4, 1 mile and 6. They are very good with their handicap horses, the Valmont owners. I like Mr. Bluebird in the 6 furlong handicap at Ascot. Third in this race last year. Effectively off a, did I say a 7 or a £9 lower mark? And I think he will go very close here. And finally, a late one at Warwick. Lallygag, if that tongue tie works, he's been dropped so nicely in the handicap. This is a much easier race than what he usually runs in. I think he can go very close.